In this tutorial I'm going to teach you a little bit about the surface modifier and how we can use that to change the surface shape of the track. I've started by just creating a very simple closed circuit track here, and I'll open up the surface editor now, and this is probably the most complicated interface of Bobstrack Builder, but some of it's actually quite simple and easy to use. Firstly, you can click and drag on these points to move and adjust the shape of the track, and I'll right click here and switch it into solid and wireframe so you can see the individual polygons being moved about. I'll leave this reasonably flat for the time being, and you can see here that there's one surface modifier at the moment on the track, and it always starts at the very first node, and you can't move that one around. To add a new surface shape, firstly we need to add a new modifier and position that somewhere. To begin with, it's not affecting the shape and it's not affecting the material, so we need to tick this checkbox to say we're going to start changing the shape of the track across this cross section here. And so if I just move points up and down, we can see that it's starting to bulge. Now I can flick back to the other surface by clicking it there, or I can move that one about there and it's moving that bulge around. It's not too obvious from this point of view, because at this point in the track, and if we go back to that surface, see it's fairly flat, and then it will transition from this point through to this point to eventually form this shape. And so if I move back a bit, we can actually see a little bit clearer. There's a flat shape here, which is this section here, a bumpier section here, which is that there. Then it slowly goes from that bumpy section all the way back around here to become flat again. We're seeing behind us. So if I want to create a bump at this point, I need to do a couple of things. I need to add surfaces around it, and I need to tell them to also set the shape. Now by doing this, I've set a shape here, and I've told it to assume the shape that it was before it when I first set this, and then we can modify that again, and you can see how this movement is now isolated between the surfaces either side of it that are setting shapes. If we also add another surface modifier here, tell it to set the shape, we can then bring this surface shape back down again to be relatively flat, and we've got ourselves a rather pronounced looking bump there. Now we can move that bump around, drag it out, position it around. We'll just go back to solid mode, so you can see the effect of moving something in and out. And that's pretty much how you make shapes. Now there are a couple of other things, little tricks you can do. If I wanted this shape to assume the same shape as the one before it, I can just uncheck and then check it again, or drag them back down. And something else I think is fairly interesting is the ability to do cambers in this way. Instead of using the camber tool, you can do that, and it's now got a cambered surface all around there. That's good if you just want to camber one part of the track too. If you just want to do an inside corner, camber it down like that. And the other thing you can do is jiggle them about. I'll just go and change this shape to be flat again, but I grab all these points and hold shift down, and you can move them side to side. So you could in theory do a chicane like this. Now the only other thing you might notice here is it's starting to get a little bit blocky with this sort of quick transition in shape. It's getting very square edges on there. If we wanted to smooth that out a little bit, you can actually use these sections, this panel length here. This determines the length of the panel along the flow of the track. So that's now got a lot more density into that mesh. It'll start and use up more polygons, but it gives you a nicer, smoother shape. So that's where you can start to balance off looks versus performance. And that's about it for this tutorial.